Okay, are you ready for our next speaker? All right, we are thrilled to have her. Our next speaker was born in the great state of Idaho and then moved to Alaska when she was 3 months old. I didn't know this, by the way. You may not know it, but she was a member of the Alaska 1982 State Women's Basketball Championship team. I think she was the point guard. So she's been moving us down the court even longer than most of us knew. She got her undergraduate degree from the University of Idaho, served 2 terms as the tax-cutting mayor of Wasilla, Alaska, which, as I recall from her 2008 acceptance speech, she said it was a little bit like being a community organizer, only with actual responsibilities. Remember that line? In 2006, she made history as the first woman and the youngest governor in the state of Alaska, where she led the way with education reform, fiscal responsibility, pro-family and pro-life legislation, and preserving Alaska's precious natural resources. In 2008, she made history and genuinely electrified the nation by becoming the first woman vice presidential nominee of the Republican Party in its history. Since then, she has become one of our favorites, going around the country to back and support candidates, all of whom benefited from her endorsement or support, including, and I'm not going to name them all, just a few of these: Susana Martinez in New Mexico, Nikki Haley of South Carolina, Marco Rubio in Florida, Scott Walker in Wisconsin, Kelly Ayotte of New Hampshire, Deb Fischer, the new U.S. Senator from Nebraska, and Ted Cruz in Texas, who has said that he would not be in the U.S. Senate today without her support. We love this woman not only for her political profile and public policy views, but because of her heart for God and her compassion for others. She's become a leader on special needs issues for the special needs community. She is a friend of the State of Israel. She is a woman of faith, a best-selling author, again, a Fox News contributor. Yes. And please direct your attention to the screens to watch this video and then welcome our next speaker.
Across the country, everyday Americans are standing up and they're speaking out. And based on what I've seen, there is more than enough reason to have faith in America.
We really like Sarah Palin. She speaks for us in a lot of ways. She is real.
She's family-oriented, very honest. She says it like it is.
She's a normal person, just like every one of us. And I like that because I'm a farm wife. It shows that she can do what we can do.
The heart of America is good small towns just like this one.
Very nice, very kind to us, including our 2 small kids.
Pretty down to earth.
She is awesome.
Oh, we love her. It's not just me, it's so many Americans. I think we're seeing a great awakening of the American public. These folks love this country. They want to make sure that we are handing the next generation the blessings of liberty. And that is why it's so important for people to get engaged. Look around you. You're not alone. You are American.
I have a feeling for what she is and why she's so popular.
A good woman that has God and America in her heart.
A smart, intelligent woman.
She has it all. Her courage and her strength.
Hearing from these people encourages me to fight an aggressive fight.
She is fearless, she is principled, and she is a mama grizzly.
Hopefully I can inspire others in order to affect positive change.
She does things differently. She plays by her own rules.
Gutsy, spirited, real.
She says the work isn't done yet.
Solutions come from you, and America's hope is in you.
Let's do what we know America needs done. Empower the people of America.
We've got to do this together. excited to get to be here, and Todd and I are here because of you. You have taken time out of your busy schedules to be here and to be involved, and Todd and I were just talking about this backstage. It's not about me. It's not about us. It's about you being involved and trying to defend our republic and save our country. So thank you so much for being here. Wasn't going to start off already getting all blubbery on you, but you know, you do my heart well, really. It's good to be among friends, and it is great to be here. It is so interesting to be in Washington, though, isn't it? I don't get back here that often, but every time I do, it just seems to get more and more surreal. I was going to ask Ralph, too, if he'd encountered any protesters here. If there's any protesters, you know, speak now or forever hold your peace. Because facing the protesters, facing the critics, that's something I do well. And it's easy to spot them in the parking lot in their itty-bitty purple Volts. What gives them away is that re-elect Obama bumper sticker. That bumper sticker might as well say, yeah, I'm still dense. Really, I've rolled my truck window down as I pulled up to these guys, some of them, and said, really? Why? You know, sincerely wanting to know what is their thinking. Why would they support failed policies? And one reply I got before the 2012 race, a guy said, well, I'm not a racist, so I voted for him to prove it. And I replied, nor am I a racist. And hey, buddy, next time, vote for someone else to prove you're not a knucklehead. But now more than ever, it just seems so Orwellian around here. You know, 1984, and, you know, before this 1984, terms like leading from behind meant following. And like the other day, the White House testifying before Congress, bragging that they used the least untruthful statement. Now, where I come from, that's called a lie. Yes, officials lied and government spied, and in Benghazi, government lied and Americans died. But finally around here, those scandals are being revealed. Finally, you know, people are waking up to what's going on, and these scandals are coming at us, though, fast and furious. And kind of reminds me of a comedy routine that my friends my really, really good friends at Saturday Night Live do. They should think of me as a friend. You know, for a while there, I was providing more job security for the Tina Feys of the world and doing more for those employment numbers than Obama's ever done. But what SNL does is they have this skit where they do this fake newscast, and they read some completely absurd news report, and then they finish it with an incredulous, really? Well, as in, our government spied on every single one of your phone calls, but it couldn't find two pot-smoking, deadbeat Bostonians with a hotline to terrorist central in Chechnya. Really? And it's built apparatus to sneak into all of the good guys' communications, but whoops-a-daisy, it missed the Fort Hood mass murder of our own troops, despite this Islamic terrorist declaring his ideology in numerous Army counseling sessions and on his own business cards. But whoops, no red flags there. Whoops-a-daisy, really? And our government passing something called, it's Obamacare, but the Affordable Care Act. I'll repeat that, the Affordable Care Act. And its chief result, making our health care premiums enormously, unsustainably more expensive with death panels to boot, and now hiring up to 16,000 to 20,000, perhaps armed, IRS agents to implement this act. Well, the IRS. It can't figure out how it managed to spend over $4 million on a training conference because it didn't keep its receipts. Really? You try that with the IRS. It gives me the same reaction that I get from so much of what Saturday Night Live does. You don't know whether to laugh or cry, so you just kind of tune out. And, you know, I think that that's what a lot of good Americans are doing to Washington today, because D.C. is one hot mess. For instance, militarily, where is our commander-in-chief? We're talking now more new interventions. I say, until we know what we're doing, until we have a commander-in-chief who knows what he's doing, well, Chief, in these radical Islamic countries that aren't even respecting basic human rights, with both sides, they're slaughtering each other as they scream over an arbitrary red line, Allah Akbar. I say, until we have someone who knows what they're doing, I say, let Allah sort it out. But friends, we're gathered today in a city that is awash in scandal. In other words, it's just another Saturday afternoon in D.C. But to me, this one feels different. The scandal, I mean. Something more is going on than your garden variety government corruption or even illegality. As the left would say, this is shaping up to be a teachable moment. What's going on says something fundamental about our relationship to our government. And for the perfect teacher in this teaching moment, we need look no further than one Becky Garrettson. Now, Becky's a wife and a mother. She's a mama grizzly, and she's living in small town USA, Wetumpka, Alabama. And before last week, you probably had never heard of her. But Becky came to Washington recently to do something really that no American should ever have to do, and that was to beg for her rights. Becky came to Washington not as a victim, though, but as a victor, as a warrior. Wetumpka, home of the Indians. So what do you expect, Washington? And she was there. This lady had been singled out for her political beliefs. She's a Tea Partier. But she came to Washington not to apologize, but to evangelize. Becky had been treated by her government as an uppity yokel, a dangerous hick who needed to be brought down in an avalanche of red tape. But Becky came to Washington not as a subject, but as a citizen. She made her case better than I ever could have. Part of what she said to Congress, she said, where I come from, quote, we are patriotic Americans. We peacefully assemble. We petition our government. We exercise our right to free speech, and we don't understand why our government tried to stop us. She went on to say, I am not here today as a serf, she said. I am not begging my lords for mercy. I am a born free American woman, a wife, a mother, a citizen, and I'm telling my government that you have forgotten your place. And I have had the honor of meeting thousands of Americans like Becky, and they share her spirit. These Americans, so many who have never before been politically active, well, they're calling out a government that hasn't just forgotten its place, but it's purposefully and systematically usurped its place. When our founders declared our independence, they pointed to a long train of abuses from a distant, arrogant, and dictatorial government. That train is leaving the station again, and the challenge now is first to see it for what it is, and then to stop it in its tracks. The problem isn't bureaucrats in Cincinnati going rogue, and it's not honest reporters and their parents being targeted for just doing their job, and it's not 20-something security contractors leaking government documents. The problem is government grown so big that it intrudes into every aspect of our lives. It's grown so arrogant that it thinks that we work for it instead of it working for us. The problem is we've got these politicos with this religious faith in the power of government and elitist disdain for the rights of we the people. To rebuild our majority, then, this is the lesson that we must learn. The scandals infecting this city, they are a symptom of a bigger disease. And it doesn't matter if it's Republican or a Democrat sitting atop a bloated boot on your neck, out of control government. Everyone gets infected. No party is immune. That's why, I tell you, I'm listening to those independents, to those libertarians who are saying, you know, it is both sides of the aisle, the leadership, the good old boys in the party on both sides of the aisle kind of perpetuated these problems. I tell you, Congress, though, the good old boys that do perpetuate the problem, that haven't been part of a solution, they've been part of a problem. Now, you know what I wish that Congress would do? Man, just for a week, perhaps, just put themselves on cruise control, and the Ted Cruz control. Just for a week, and let's see where things go. I think we'd see some solutions. But the scandals, I say, oh, Lordy, yes, investigate them. We have to investigate them, yes, and let's punish the guilty. Let's see justice done. But bureaucrats investigating one another? Right. Did you know the FBI is investigating the IRS harassment of the Tea Party conservative scandal right now? But they haven't contacted one Tea Party yet? And the FBI director, he just admitted he doesn't even know who's leading that IRS investigation. Well, nothing to see here is what they want us to believe. Move along, little people, the little guy, just nothing to see. IRS lawyers who are, in charge of some of this stuff, well, they donated to Obama over a Republican 20-1. And folks of the IRS, those lawyers who made political contributions overall, 95% of them gave to Obama. And that's nothing, because at the UN and at the Education Department and at the National Labor Relations Board, 100% of their attorneys donated to Obama. So says a Pepperdine Law School study. It's not just me saying that. But investigate, yes, investigate. But folks, we can't kid ourselves that we can stop at just that, because we will never restore the trust of the American people just by pointing out how little they can trust the other side. And let's not kid ourselves in believing that we can rebuild our majority, by the way, by passing a pandering, rewarding the rule breakers, still no border security, special interest written amnesty bill. And I think it's kind of dangerous territory, touchy territory, to want to debate this over one racist fertility rate over another. And I say this as someone who's kind of fertile herself. I don't think that's where we want to go in deciding how will we incentivize the hardworking, responsible families who want to be in the line, follow the law, and become Americans, versus those whose very first act on our soil is to break the law. There are different ways that we can debate this, how to make it work. And we also will never build our majority, friends, by just silently acquiescing to a totalitarian surveillance state, which is what we're becoming if we just let them tell us to sit down and shut up, which I refuse to do. No. We have nothing to gain by just loudly condemning the tactics of the left while we retreat and quietly adopt their philosophy. Because we are a free-born people, and the day that we forget that, the day that we stop worrying about the tyranny lurking around every corner, which Barack Obama just told a group of graduates recently that they should ignore and forget about. No, that's the day that we lose our freedom. That's the day we stop being citizens and we become subjects. As our founders, and our sacrificial veterans, as they roll over in their sacred graves, too many forgetting today the words that they spoke, the words that we must be willing to say today, their words that launched the revolution. Remember what Patrick Henry said. He said, "I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death." We must be willing to say that today. The great hope that we can take away from this visit then, and I am so glad that you are here. I'm glad that you've taken the time and made the sacrifices away from family and work and home to be here, to be involved. I can't thank you enough for, it's just so encouraging for me, for Todd. It's so encouraging for normal, average, everyday Americans who are counting on you to have that stiff spine and to be bold and to push back what this movement that is tyranny, what it's doing to our country. I can't thank you enough for being here, and the great hope that we can take away from you being here, from this visit to Washington, is that Americans like Betsy Garretson and Tea Partiers, they already know all this that I've spoken of. Not only do you value your freedom, but you are willing to fight for it. In hundreds of towns across America, from Wetumpka to Wasilla, so many Americans are fighting the good fight. And I know, because I've met them, and I've been in their homes. They've been in mine. And I serve them moose chili and blueberry pie when they come to my home. And they are the rock. They are the rock upon which that we will build this new majority. And they are the voice that can reach millions of other patriots of all race, color, and creed who also value the dignity and the opportunity of freedom. They are the brave. They, having kept faith with everything that we love about this land of the free. And we will have no hope of reclaiming our country, and we will deserve it even less if we fail to keep faith with them. That is the message that our leaders, our political leaders, especially those leaders in the GOP, need to understand. You do not marginalize, you don't discredit and dismiss everyday, average, hardworking Americans, those who are part of that grassroots Tea Party movement even, who want to affect the positive change, because too often, leaders, you're not doing it. The people, we the people, have to do it. We can't count on our politicians in Washington, D.C. to do this for us. This also, though, speaks to the idea, the action needed on a local level. I ran for city council. I was a small town mayor. I was a commissioner of oil and gas, moved up to a governor's seat. You have to start on a local level affecting that change. You don't just accept the good old boys trying to shove things down in your own hometown either that aren't part of a liberty-loving populace that is here running their businesses, raising their families, assuming that everybody understands what our Constitution says, assuming that, of course, it's in our heart and soul that we will follow our Constitution, we won't erode our Constitution. Start on the local level, affecting that change as you work on these higher levels of politicos who happen to be in charge of our country. Start on that local level, or do both. Just do both, local and national, okay? Because time's a-wasting, and we need both. But we will fail to reclaim our country if we do not keep faith with those Americans. They knew, you knew, that this land was dedicated to our Lord God, and He has blessed it. And we do well to rededicate it at this time to our one true Heavenly Father. Because we're not going to come up in our own simple minds with the solutions. The challenges are too big. We need that divine inspiration. We need to ask that hand of protection and the blessings of our Father again to fall upon our nation. Not that we are a deserving people, but that's what God's all about, grace and mercy and forgiveness. And if we ask for this, and if we do rededicate our land to our Lord, things will turn around. And I know that at least you all can appreciate that. So, you, hard-working, liberty-loving patriots, they're the unsung heroes in this fight for America's future. And they're out there refusing to retreat, refusing to fundamentally transform America. Instead, they shall, we must, we will fundamentally restore America. With that, I want to thank you again, and I want to ask you to keep up the good fight. We can't get tired. We can't weaken our resolve to defend this republic and make our politicians be accountable and follow our Constitution. And I tell you, you are the unsung heroes. I happen to have been handed a microphone and get to stand behind a podium once in a while. But I'm speaking on behalf of you who love this country as much as I do, who love and value life and our kids, some who perhaps will face more challenges than the rest of us will face. Yet we understand the dignity of human life. We understand that there are God's standards of perfection, which really count, and then there are the world's standards of perfection that are superficial and often materialistic and don't matter. You all know what really matters, and that's why it's so good for us to be here, to be encouraged, to be fed by you, knowing that you're out there, that you got our back and we've got your back. So with that, I thank you, and happy Father's Day tomorrow. Happy Father's Day to our founding fathers, and in their honor, let us do better for the country that they bestowed upon us. Thank you all so much, and God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.